Hello my creative critters and welcome to Sketching with Sarah. I'm Sarah and today I want to share with you a fun doodle that I doodled in my sketchbook that is very seasonal to this time of year. First of all, I want to ask you, what is your opinion of candy corn? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you just not care? The majority of people that I know don't like candy corn, and for me personally, I'm kind of indifferent. Like, I don't love it as much as Reese's peanut butter cups, for example, but I don't hate it to where I won't touch it. I'll still eat some. So I wanted to make a fun little creature based on this controversial Halloween candy and maybe change your mind if you're a candy corn hater. I also want to share with you some fun things that I learned about Stegosauruses, because if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I love and also I can't shut up about cool things that I learned about animals. This is my first Dino Fun Fact Friday video, and if you want to learn more about more dinosaurs, I'd love to research them more because they are just so cool. All the sources that I use for the information that I share in any of my videos are always linked in my description box, so you can do your own research and learn more about Stegosauruses that I didn't cover here. So let's get started. I always start my sketchbook drawings with a watercolor pencil. I looked at a bunch of references for a Stegosaurus because I love their pointed plates that are along their back, and they remind me of giant candy corn candies. But did you know that Stegosaurus plates are kind of a mystery? Stegosaurus' remains have been reconstructed in a variety of ways, including the original layouts of the flat plates across its back to create an armor. But the most widely accepted formation is that the plate stood upright in two alternating parallel rows along its spine and tail. Scientists are not completely in agreement as to why these spines evolved, but it's generally believed to be there to help fend off predators and, in my personal opinion, just to look cool and maybe even to attract mates. So as I'm looking at all kinds of references and drawings of Stegosauruses, I started to roughly sketch the proportions of the dinosaur. I haven't really ever drawn dinosaurs seriously before, and studying their skeletons and shape was very interesting to me. Also, if you know me personally or you have seen some of my videos on my channels, you know that I love collecting real animal skulls, and skeletons in general are just really special to me. And the fact that we can only really learn about dinos from their skeletons is pretty interesting to me and kind of impressive. Growing up, my favorite dinosaur was, and still is to be real, a Triceratops. I have a very vivid memory of being in preschool when we were learning about dinosaurs and the different types of dinos, and my preschool teacher asked me what my favorite dinosaur was. And I said Triceratops because it has my name in it. And her response was, "No, it doesn't." And I, to this day, remember talking back to her, like, yes, it does. Triceratops. And I remember being so mad at her, like, do you think I'm stupid or something? The fact that I can picture the preschool classroom and exactly where I was in that room when this happened, I guess it was a core memory for me or something. I was very passionate about animals as a kid, and I remember to log onto my profile on my family's computer. You know, back in the day when we had one computer in the house that everyone would share. My password was animals, and I thought I was so clever that no one would guess that. Silly small Sarah. Anyway, back to Stegosauruses. So once I got the basic sketch down, I started to build the pigment with watercolor pencil wherever I wanted the different colors to be. I applied more pigment where I wanted more saturation, and less pigment where I wanted more of the white of the paper to show through and to be more of a highlight. So I kind of went around the whole drawing and added pigment where I felt necessary. Okay, so one cool thing that I learned is that Stegosauruses are the official state dinosaur for Colorado. First of all, I didn't even know that states had state dinosaurs. I guess almost every state has either an official state dinosaur or fossil, which I think is pretty cool. Back in 1982, Colorado's governor signed a bill making Stegosauruses the official state dinosaur. The bill was signed after thousands of fourth grade students participating in a write-in campaign to assign the Stegosaurus as Colorado's official state dinosaur. If there was a write-in to make Triceratops my state's official dinosaur in preschool, my name would be signed the biggest, let me tell you. Another fact about Stegosauruses is that they lived around 150 million years ago. In the late Jurassic period. The late Jurassic period is a geological period that spanned from 163.5 to 145 million years ago. It's preserved in the geologic layer called the Upper Jurassic Strata, or Strata, Jurassic Strata, which is where the fossilized remains of Stegosauruses were preserved for many, many millions of years. I can't even really grasp how long 5,000 years ago was, let alone millions. I think that's one of the reasons that dinosaurs are so interesting to so many people. It kind of feels like they were in a fictional, faraway fantasy world. It was so long ago. So at this point in my drawing, I've laid down all the pigment to my liking in watercolor pencil, and now I'm using my water brush pen to soften the colors and activate the watercolor of the watercolor pencil. I started with all of the orange parts so that they could dry before activating the yellow because I didn't want the orange to contaminate and blend with the yellow, since I still wanted those candy corn colors to be separated. And after adding water to all the colors, it kind of made the whole drawing very not defined and very flat. So I took a blue watercolor pencil, and when the orange was dry, I started building on the blue to areas I wanted to have more contrast and shadow. Blue is the complementary color of orange, so it would neutralize the orange and desaturate the bright orange to a more dull color, which is what I wanted to hopefully give a little bit more color variation. And after adding the blue, I colored over it with more orange, so it's a little bit more subtle, and I applied more water to those areas to blend and activate the pigments. Some other facts that I learned about Stegosauruses is that they were around 30 feet long and 14 feet tall, which is massive. That means it was about as tall as the average female giraffe and longer than a London bus in length. It's hard to imagine an animal that large now, but back then it was pretty normal because there was so much vegetation everywhere that there was plenty for such large herbivores like a Stegosaurus. You know, the whole planet used to be just nature, which is also just strange to imagine, especially with cities like Chicago and New York. Speaking of Stegosauruses being herbivores, they obviously ate a lot of plants, but they also supplemented their diets by intentionally swallowing small rocks. The rocks would have helped them to digest all of the vegetation in its stomach by moving around and helping them break it all down. Eating rocks sounds kind of like a dumb thing to do, but I guess it does make sense. Stegosauruses did have very small brains in comparison to their body, so imagine the giant dinosaur that is 14 feet tall and 30 feet long, and their brain was only about the size of a lime. Can you imagine a lime 14 feet in the sky? So far, this candy corn Stegosaurus looks so happy and silly, and he looks very much so like there's no thoughts, just vibes. Once I was okay with how the water blending was turning out, I let it dry and took my orange watercolor pencil and really tried to define the outlines even more. The orange pencil wasn't quite as dark as I would have liked, and I was very tempted to get my ink fine liner pen out, but I wanted to challenge myself because I do kind of use ink outlines as a crutch sometimes, I feel like. And then with color pencil, I added some texture details like little freckles and spots on the body, any other finishing touches that I felt like it needed. By the end of the drawing, I wasn't completely satisfied, but I have to remind myself the process of drawing this silly guy made me really happy, and that's what my sketchbook is for. It's a very low-stakes way to get my silly ideas from my brain to a page, and that's what I love to do in these sketchbook sessions because I get to share some of that with you. I was also thinking about experimenting with a couple other color variations for this candy corn Stegosaurus, like maybe the body is yellow or white instead, or maybe the body is even black. Or what if the body was split into 3 sections with the white, orange, and yellow? Lots of combinations that I think would be fun to experiment with. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a whole other dedicated video to drawing those, but if you want to see those drawings, you should stick around for this sketchbook tour when I'm done with it. I only have a few pages left, and I plan to fill it with drawings from pictures and videos that I took on my 2-week trip to Poland, and I can't wait to share with you all about my trip to see my family and explore Poland. So now that this drawing is complete, I want you to look at this guy's cute little face and his lime-sized brain and tell him that you hate candy corn. Can you do it? Because if you can, I will fight you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this Halloween candy-inspired dinosaur drawing and learned a thing or two about Stegosaurus that you may have not known before. I had a blast with this doodle, so thank you for sticking around to the end. If you made it this far, leave me a comment on what your favorite Halloween candy is, or just candy in general. Mine is for sure the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Also, don't forget to leave this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more art and animal related content. I'd love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching and bearing with me with my spotty uploading, and I'll see you in my next Friday video.